What is the most terrifying thing that has ever happened to you while you were working? Did a customer get violent with you? Have you been abused at work by an exploitative boss? My name is Keisha, and although no one has ever attacked or robbed me, I can assure you that no one has ever gone through what I went through that morning while working at Dunkin' Donuts. It all started when a strange man walked into Dunkin' Donuts while I was at the counter taking orders. The man was quite strange. Every word he said was calculated, dry, and rather cold. His voice was very raspy and his eyes were focused on me, frozen, and accompanied by a big grin from ear to ear. After ordering his donuts, the man ate them, staring at me. Each bite he took was slower than the next. He looked like a predator stalking his prey. He was making me feel very uncomfortable, but what could I do? He was just looking at me. I couldn't say anything to him. I asked my manager if I could go clean or cook, and with his permission, I left. The next few days, the man kept coming back. He didn't stop looking at me for a single day. Every day at 2 p.m., I knew he would be there, watching me. As time passed, he began asking me uncomfortable questions as I was taking his order. Are you in a couple? Do you live alone? What did you eat last night? I told him repeatedly that he was making me uncomfortable, but without taking his eyes off of me or smiling, he would just remain silent and keep looking at me. The morning it all happened, I didn't see it coming. Until that day, the man always came in the afternoon, but that day, it was as soon as I opened the place in the morning. This Dunkin' Donuts is pretty small, so only one person opens at 8 a.m. since hardly any customers come. At 9 a.m., another employee starts to join in. I was cleaning the counter, knowing that hopefully I would serve 1 or 2 people before 9 a.m. There was no way I could see it coming that when the door opened, he would show up.
Hey, good to see you here.
Hello, sir. May I take your order?
Without saying much, the man leaned on the counter and put his head close. His eyes were wider than ever, full of veins, and with a strong red intensity that I had never seen before. His breathing was agitated and his smile was huge, from ear to ear, revealing large gray teeth, but they were in perfect condition.
Sir, get away from the counter, or I'll call the police. You're scaring me.
The man just ignored me, and with a big jump, he placed his feet on top of the counter and then got down from my side and walked slowly towards me. My only reaction was to run to the kitchen. Our Dunkin' Donuts was very small and had no security, and it was still very early in the morning, so it could be a long time before a customer or coworker came in. I didn't have time to call the police either. I was at the mercy of this man, and when he saw me running, he came right after me, in a chase that only lasted a few seconds. I tried to lock myself in the food storage room, but before I could close the door, the man rammed it shut and came in with me, cornering me against the wall. His face was in front of mine. His eyes were so wide that they looked like they were about to pop out of their sockets, and his teeth were almost grinding from how hard he was clenching them to give me that horrendous forced smile.
What do you want?
The same as always, pretty girl. A donut. A chocolate donut.
After saying that, the man turned away from me and stood in the doorway of the storage room, looking at me, inviting me to go to the kitchen to deliver his donut. I walked past him, crying, hostage to this psychopath who walked by me, not leaving my side for a second. I took out a chocolate donut and put it in the microwave.
Aren't you gonna make the donut?
I'm sorry, sir. We don't make the donuts.
I waited for an answer, but it never came. The man didn't move his mouth away from my ear. I could feel his breath filling my ear with moisture. Meanwhile, all I could see was the clock on the microwave. 10 seconds, 7 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It seems that my donut is ready.
Terrified, I served him his donut and simply gave it to him. The man began to eat it, staring at me. He ate it even slower than usual. When he was about to finish his donut, he stopped.
Something wrong?
This donut is really good. I want you to taste it.
Please, no.
I won't take no for an answer. Slowly! You should enjoy the chocolate.
I ate his donut slowly. My body was numb, my jaw cramping with every bite I took. The man's eyes were still glued to me, but closer than ever. Without seeing him, I could feel him scanning my entire face, becoming more and more agitated as if he was about to do something. And almost without realizing it, I swallowed the donut. Immediately, the man pulled something out of his pocket. This was the end of me.
I left you a little tip for the excellent service.
Still smiling, the psycho walked out of the store as if nothing happened. I fell to the floor crying. I was devastated. I wanted to throw up that donut. I felt dirty, but no, I knew what I had to do. I ran to the phone and called the police as soon as possible. Luckily, there was a police car in the area and they apprehended the man without any problems. He didn't try to run away. He didn't run. He didn't get angry. He just smiled. After he was arrested, Dunkin' Donuts showed the police the CCTV footage of everything that had happened. The man was found guilty. I later learned that the man had a narcissistic personality disorder. This means that when this happened, he was in complete control of himself. He was not under the influence of any drugs, and no god or hallucination was telling him to do this to me. He was just doing it because he enjoyed it. Soon after, I quit working at Dunkin' Donuts. I could never work in the customer service industry again. I saw his smile on every customer. Every time someone looked at me, I panicked. I may never see that man again, but the memory of him will haunt me for the rest of my life. I was pulling my shift in Dunkin' Donuts when my manager Ryan walked in. He was an average height, ordinary man with a slouched back. He hardly talked and spent most of his time in the basement.
Morgan won't be able to make it as he's down with a fever. So what do you say, Jack? Up for the night shift today?
Honestly, I was in no position to refuse some extra cash, so I agreed. I've never worked the night shift before, so it was a new experience for me.
Let me walk you through some ground rules. You never leave the shop unlocked, and you never go to the basement.
Ryan's eyes looked sharp as he particularly emphasized the second rule.
Sure. Good. I'll see you in the morning then.
He left abruptly without even caring to explain why. I should not go to the basement. A few cops came around midnight, and after that, it was me sitting in an empty Dunkin' Donuts waiting for the night. I watched videos on my favorite YouTube channel, IMR Scary Tales, for a while, but then started to get bored. Now, it's basic human nature to go after the unknown, to do things that you've been told not to, and my curiosity got the best of me. I looked at the clock and it was 2 a.m. I knew no one was going to come for donuts at this hour, so I locked the store from the inside and headed to check the basement. The door to the basement was at the back of the store. I stood above the dark stairs that went into Ryan's mysterious den. There was no light on the stairs, so I had to take the help of my phone's flashlight. There was a wooden door at the bottom of the stairs, and I expected it to be locked. An unpleasant, musty smell made my nose wrinkle. There was a low-power bulb hanging from the ceiling. I turned it on. The view immediately reminded me of the creepy basement from the Conjuring movie. Dusty cardboard boxes were piled up against the wall. A big freezer stood in the left corner. The wrenching sound coming from it echoed into the huge basement. 2 pillars stood in the middle, which looked odd to me. And once I noticed the floor, I was even more surprised. There was a pile of half-eaten donuts lying on the floor. Ants were having fun on them and some of it had started to rot.
Damn, why does Ryan keep the donuts like this?
The dark stairs stood behind me. I felt as if someone breathed on my neck. I turned to my phone's flashlight once again and took a good look at the stairs. Thinking it was just my imagination, I turned back to the basement, and that's when I saw her. It was a woman, but she was wrapped in a plastic sheet, standing right in the middle.
What the? Excuse me?
The plastic got sucked inside her mouth as she was breathing.
Ma'am? Why are you standing here like this? Do you need help?
I took a step forward thinking to get her out of the plastic, but she stepped back.
Hey, I don't want to hurt you. Just let me help, okay?
I took another step and she again backed off. She nodded from side to side like she was saying no, and then suddenly ran behind one of the pillars. The situation was just getting creepier now. I was definite that Brian had probably been keeping this poor woman as hostage and it had messed up her sanity. It all made sense now, why he wouldn't allow anyone in the basement. All the donuts he took each day were for her, but she hasn't even touched them.
Look, you don't have to be afraid of me. Let me call the cops.
I started to dial 911 when I heard her giggle behind the pillar. I was scared, but I still wanted to help her. I walked to that pillar, and as I checked behind it, my stomach dropped. There was no one there.
Ma'am?
I looked around frantically. No one was in that basement except for myself, and now I was genuinely terrified.
This isn't funny, okay? I was just trying to...
The woman was now standing right in front of me. Her eyes gave me nightmares. The plastic kept getting sucked inside her mouth with each breath. I wanted to scream and get the hell out of there, but my voice died down into my throat. Suddenly, she started coughing. I stepped back in fear and she took steps closer to me while coughing like crazy. A black sprinting liquid came out of her mouth.
Oh my God! What's happening to you?
The more I backed off, the closer she came. After a few steps, my back hit the wall and I had no way further to move. I was completely frozen in fear and had no idea what was happening with this woman or who she was. Is she even human? She brought her face closer to mine and I couldn't keep it down anymore. When I opened my eyes, everything was normal again. The bulb that just exploded a few moments back was shining again, and there was no one around. Drops of sweat curled up and I remembered rule number 2. I shouldn't have come down here. I ran at full speed. I hovered over those stairs and grabbed the keys from the counter. Heavy rain started outside, but I had to get out of the store. Just when I was about to open the door, the key fell from my hand, and the power went out. Again.
No!
The streets were empty and glowed in the dark with each flash of lightning. I took out my phone to find the keys in the dark. Just when I got them,
Are you not going to help me?
a cold shiver ran down my spine. I was horrified to even look back, but when I heard a sounds of footsteps, but they sounded odd. Something about those footsteps was not normal. The lightning flashed and I saw my reflection on the glass door that I was trying to open. That woman, she was walking on the ceiling and her body was upside down. I grabbed the chair and threw it on the glass door, screaming for my life.
Help me! Somebody help me, please! Please! Help!
Dunkin' Donuts has always felt like home to me. In fact, I worked there for close to a year while I was waiting to get into college. But something happened to me over 2 years ago that pretty much made me decide to never set foot in another Dunkin' Donuts shop ever again. It all started a few months after I graduated from high school. I was working at a Dunkin' donut shop in Missouri while I waited to get into college. While working there, I got to meet all kinds of people, soccer moms and their kids, and even the elderly. Let's not forget the occasional Karen that drops by to stir up trouble. But of all those people, the group that patronized us the most was the boys in blue. Yep, the cops showed up all the time to order a donut combo, sometimes with an espresso or some other beverage. One cop, in particular, came on a daily basis, morning, noon, and night, with or without his colleagues. His name was Officer Graham. Officer Graham was tall, blonde, shredded, and incredibly good-looking. All the ladies stopped and stared anytime he came into the shop, myself included. I actually had a little crush on him at one point, until I found out what a notorious lady killer he was. That's also probably the reason why his wife divorced him. One particular day, Officer Graham came to order some donuts around noon. He was his usual jovial self.
Stella, the only thing that looks sweeter than these donuts today is your gorgeous smile.
Thanks, Officer Graham. I bet you say that to all my crew members.
Nope, just you. But seriously, there's something different about the donuts here. It's probably the best I've tasted in the whole state. I can't get enough of it.
Thanks, I guess. So, are you taking that to go, or...?
Yeah, just pack it up for me.
And just like that, he took the donut box and left. Later on, at about 9 p.m., Janice, my co-worker, got ready to go home.
Hey, I already took an excuse from Roy, so I'm gonna get going now. Don't wait too long to close up, all right? There have been a couple of murders and kidnappings this past week, and they've all involved young girls. So please, be careful. Sure, Janice. I will close up around 9:30. I don't want Roy breathing down my neck for closing too early, you know?
I was the last person to leave that day, so I was pretty much the one responsible for closing up shop. Once it was 9:30, I immediately packed up all of our things and switched off the lights. After what Janice told me about the murders and kidnappings, I was in a huge rush to leave. Besides, we were already out of donuts at that point. I made my way out and then started locking the doors. Suddenly, a police car showed up out of nowhere. It swerved from one direction to the next. It was moving so quickly and erratically that I thought for sure it was gonna hit me. Then it stopped abruptly in front of the shop. The door flipped open, and the next thing I knew, Officer Graham came down, only that he didn't look like himself at all. His eyes were blazing red and bloodshot. His hair was a mess, and it looked like he had a few scars and scratches on his face. It was also the first time I ever saw him in plain clothes. Soon as he got out of the car, he stormed towards me with a murderous rage in his eyes.
Wait, what do you think you're doing? You can't close now, there's still 30 minutes left.
Officer Graham, you don't look so good. Are you feeling okay?
No, I'm not okay. I need a vanilla frosted donut and I need it now.
I'm sorry, officer, but we're fresh out.
Fresh out? Don't tell me that. I want my donut and I want it now.
He leaned in closer to me. I could smell the alcohol on his breath. He also had some kind of white powder or something on his shirt. He grabbed me and yelled in my face.
You're not leaving here, Stella, until you give me what I want.
The thought of those women who got kidnapped and murdered flashed through my mind. Was I about to be murdered too? I was so scared for my life. I knew I had to figure out a way to escape, so I immediately thought up a lie.
Actually, I just remembered now. We do have some donuts left in the shop. Just wait right here, and I will go and get them.
No way, Jose. You think I'm an idiot, don't you? You're just gonna run away as soon as I let you go. You're just like my ex-wife.
Oh, no, I won't run. You can follow me into the shop to make sure.
Asking him to come into the shop got him to calm down a bit. I opened the doors and walked in. He followed closely from behind. He even walked into the kitchen with me. I rummaged through the shelves as I pretended to be looking for the donuts he asked for. But what I was really doing was buying myself enough time to think of an escape plan.
What's taking so long? If you don't get me some vanilla frosted donuts right now, I swear to God I'll...
Just give me a minute. I've almost got it.
I noticed his face was turned away from me, and that was my chance to escape. I grabbed a small bag of flour and poured it over him. Then I ran for the exit. Instantly, he grabbed me by my leg and dragged me to the floor.
You're not going anywhere until you get me my donuts!
He held on to me tightly. Luckily, I was able to slip my feet out of the shoe and then ran to the exit. Once I was outside, I quickly slammed the doors to the shop and locked them with the keys. The door shook and quivered as he banged on them from the other side. I quickly went to the nearest police precinct and reported what had happened. A few minutes later, the police drove over to our Dunkin' Donut shop and found that the windows had been smashed, and that Officer Graham was gone. After searching for him through the night, they found him in a gutter nearby. As it turned out, Graham had been on a cocaine and alcohol binge. In fact, he was stoned out of his mind when he came to the shop that night. He got fired from the force not soon after. I declined to press charges, but I was so shaken by that event that I eventually quit my job at Dunkin' Donuts. Then, not long after, I left town.